Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload, I may have two uploads. Today's first upload, I want to talk about the potential for two storms coming next week. Actually, several storms. We don't really know exactly. Each model is showing a different little thing, and these storms look to be very powerful, very strong, classic fall, even winter storms. Some of them bringing snow pretty far to the south for this time of the year. So definitely something that is interesting. You know, the weather never fails to be interesting, even in boring weather patterns, which we're not in right now. But regardless, if you guys are new, consider checking out the channel, watch the video, and see for yourself. If you'd like to subscribe, you could do that. And if you would like to support the channel, you could do so by liking the video, and that is awesome. And if you have any critique of what I do, please leave it in the comments as I try listening to my viewers. That's how a good I guess a good base is made out of. Alright, so let's get into this. Right now we are looking at the Canadian model. This model, I'm starting off with this model because, well, there's no reason actually. It's the model I was opened on. And the Canadian is often a really jumpy model. It kind of does its own little thing, a little independent thinker, if you will. And I would say it's really the third best model. First is the European GFS and then the Canadian. I often look at it. There has been several scenarios throughout the time I've been forecasting or just looking at the weather models that that has been right predominantly, like for a nor'easter or something like that. And it's always nice to look at it. So I don't want to focus on this storm right here. I may make a separate video about that tomorrow in the evening. And that thing. By the way, if you are watching, that storm will be bringing a lot of high winds and snow for Canada and the US. So let's look further out. So notice at this point we are in Friday. We could be looking at a Clipper slash Mauler or Screamer, and that those names stem from wherever the storm kind of forms in Saskatchewan. It's a Saskatchewan Screamer. It forms in Manitoba. It's a Manitoba Mauler, and if it forms in Alberta, it's the more unknown one, the Alberta Clipper. So notice that takes through. That's not really one of the big storms that we're concerned about. Notice that we do have a tropical system right down across the Gulf Coast. That thing, it could be very powerful. It is powerful as of now. Hopefully it isn't going to be that strong by the time it makes it to the U.S. But for official info, National Weather Service, NOAA, and National Hurricane Center are the best bets, as they do, obviously, the most accurate work out there. So go check those folks out, and that could definitely be a deadly situation. So regardless, aside from that, what I want to look at is these storms you could see coming in from the northwest. We were going to have a series of storms. So notice that the first main one, like I've been mentioning for the past several days, looks to be around the Saturday, late Friday, early Saturday time frame, and it moves further west as the weekend progresses. And out of that storm, each model, Canadian GFS, European GFS parallel, has its own little story, and you can see that the Canadian does form using the moisture from the tropical storm, hurricane, tropical system. It does form a pretty large low pressure, and you can see this thing is pretty well spinned out, like classic fall storm. And just because it's a classic fall storm doesn't mean it's gonna have classic impacts. It could have a few tricks up its sleeves. With the weather and environment changing always, each storm kind of brings its own traits, if you will. And notice that this storm is pretty spinning, pretty taut, if you will, and definitely stronger winds, lots of rain. You can see that Canadian doesn't include really any mention of snow, but what it does do as we push this forward, it does include a bit of mountain snow and a cool air blast that pushes through and possibly erects another snow system out of that. So we'll have to see what exactly does occur. But again, at this point in time, this is almost 2 weeks out in time, but the origins of the storm, the beginning impacts, will be occurring less than a week from now. And usually I don't like to make a video about something where the impacts are kind of or where the storm is very far out and has only been showing for a few model runs. The thing is, the models have been consistently showing storms, large storms, in the next week time frame and weekend time frame. While each storm is different, each storm has its own twist on it, each model. It's generally a trend of showing the storms. By the way, talking about this winter storm across southeastern Canada, winter storm or just storm, depends on where you live. Notice that it will be very strong, and most models have kind of trended towards the stronger scenario, and you can see that's what it will be doing across southeastern Canada. Then we have that tropical storm, hurricane, most likely a hurricane at this point. That little Manitoba mauler, possibly a screamer or clipper, moving through. A little bit of snow across Canada or Ontario and into Quebec. So definitely, I probably won't be making a separate video about this. As you can see, there's a big precip load moving on here, but I will include it in my videos. So just because the title isn't about this storm, I will include it, and this will be occurring around the weekend time frame. And you know, central Ontario, south of James Bay, and this moves pretty far to the south, almost meeting the kind of a U.S. border with Canada right there. Some snow showers, and then this is where we have a large system from the west make its landfall. And notice this thing is different than what the Canadian shows, but it's still there. It's a 991, 980. It's a very pretty powerful winds, and you can see that it is centered right across the northern Great Lakes. And if you live around the Great Lakes, you probably do know that they are very high, especially Michigan and I think Erie. I don't know, but I know that Michigan and all of the lakes are above average. Now, I don't know the exact values of other lakes, but I know for Michigan it's around 3 feet above average. It's normal water height, so any waves that do occur, you know, it's gonna take a less amount of winds to create a large impact, if you will. That's definitely a concern. You can see that it definitely does weaken faster than what the Canadian shows. And if you're wondering why am I not going over timing, you know, I mean, I could, but really it would just be kind of a waste of time, because the change on this will be incredible. Probably, you know, with each model showing a different thing, we know that it will have to change either towards one side or the other. And generally, I could say, you know, around the beginning of next week, look for a more active period, showers, storms, and that's general across the Midwest, the East with the tropical storm remnants, and the South and the West with a big storm ongoing. So lots of activity, lots of storm potential. And notice this one does spin up, and the GFS parallel also does its fair amount of jumping around. You can see this model run does not show any large systems, if you will, developing after that, or for a good while. And you can see it does occur one across the northeast and a possible snow system right there, but definitely a bit more limited than some of the other model runs they had earlier on. So that just goes to show you the change. Let's go to the classic GFS, and the model I was just showing you was a GFS parallel, which is supposed to be an upgraded version of the GFS, which is going to replace it sometime soon. Don't know the exact date, but notice this is the GFS, the classic global forecasting system. You can see very powerful storm, 97 millibars, 970 right off of the coast of Quebec and really the northeast, southeastern Canada. Strong winds, that blows over. We get that mysterious storm system, yet to give it a name. We have that tropical storm, which is more of a serious note. Obviously, this is definitely something we'll have to watch for. I won't be giving a forecast about that because I don't want to deter any information that may be vital. You know, I could talk about a little clipper all I want, because most likely that won't have life-threatening impacts, though a storm like this will. So I tend to stay out of that. Notice the northwest, we see that large storm. The GFS does evolve it into a pretty large beast. Centers it further to the north, but still the impacts stretch across the Midwest, and with a continued active pattern, we see more storm potential, while the GFS also kind of has a long period of absolutely almost nothing, which is interesting. Earlier model runs, say 6 o'clock Tuesday, did show more of a storm potential. You could see there was one, there was another one right there, so a lot of changes on its way, and we'll have to monitor this. European model, I just want to quickly show you, also does show a pretty extensive storm system. And while the European is usually considered kind of the model that has the most amount of wisdom, most control, kind of like an older person you always looked up to, this model, or at least it should be looked up to, this model has its fair share of jumping around in the past several days, and really the models have been all over the place, even with this system that was not that far out. Only now they have come into agreement. You could see quite a bit of snow. Notice tropical storm, Clipper, so that seems to be pretty accurate, but then obviously this system, you can see the European puts out more precipitation and more centered across the south, say, than the GFS. And it's a weird, I mean, just a weird design. It just kind of sits around for a while, splurting out precipitation. So we'll have to see how this exactly unfolds, but definitely interesting. And I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. I just wanted to keep this one a bit shorter. So thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.